Okay, it looks, and I'm gonna hit record. Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I am so excited to be here and introduce this gentleman to you. Um, he's been a person for me. He's the man. He has done everything right. I mean, he inspires me. He pushes me. He gets in my face when he needs to, and not only is this man a mentor to me, he is a dear, dear friend to my husband and myself, Freddie, and his family is absolutely beautiful. I love Terry. You know what? She could be a mentor in her own right too. But what this is for now, the interview. Okay, that's
Okay.
the name of this. Every Tuesday I will be here. I'm coming to you from my home in Hayward, Wisconsin. Beautiful, quaint little town. And I was just telling Robert, I've got heavenly scents coming out of my crock pot, venison stew. Who doesn't love that, right? But I am so honored and proud to have you here with me today, Robert, and to talk not about business, but
No.
just being the friend that you are and a person that is making huge impact in our world today. And that is you. And so everybody please welcome Robert Hollis.
Well, thank you, Lisa Marie, and you're absolutely correct. I love you and Freddie, and I just love people, and when people want to figure out how to have a better life, the things that I've figured out on my own through my mentors, I just pass that stuff on. And so, to think that I grew up in a little town of Williston, North Dakota, and it was like mandatory that we all filled our buck and our dough license every year because that's what fed the family.
Right.
That's what fed the family. So I learned to shoot a gun really early in life because if you don't know how to shoot, then kids are just a smarter animal that could still kick brush and still run. So you had all the kids that would be going through the brush. So when the deer popped up, it was pretty funny. So, but yeah, it's such a blessing. You are such an incredible person. And I'm just glad to be on here. So what kind of questions do you have?
Well, I've got a lot of questions, and I'm going to save my big one for last because, knowing you, you might get into that, but let's just see what happens. But
Sure.
okay, let's start with what drives you to continue making an impact, and how has that passion evolved over the years? So basically, I kind of want to know. Um, I don't know if a lot of you know, but Robert is a major contributor to orphans all around the world. I mean, and I find that just amazing. I mean, but at what point in your career did it come about more than you?
It came really early in my career because I'm one of those people that are extremely driven, and when I was young I'm super competitive. So I not only race cars, but I was in rodeo, I was in sports, I was there wasn't anything that I did that wasn't competitive. So I was on multiple bowling leagues and pool leagues and dart leagues, anything that you can have in a little small area. I have always been that kind of competitive. And so when I moved to California just to get involved with bigger race car people and stuff like that, and then I got hurt and put into this industry, it didn't take me long to hit the top position. And numbers for me, it was just like Lisa Maria, it's just like laps on a racetrack, right? So if you get in a race and it's a 30 lap race, you got 30 laps to get to the lead. It's not the first lap. You just got to keep consistent and keep getting better and better. So when I got into this industry and I knew that a majority of the people didn't want to change their lives, but if I talked to a lot of people, they knew people that would want to change their life. So it didn't
Mhm.
take me long to get to, the top position of my first company. That was back in 87 and 88. And all of a sudden, when I got there, I immediately was like, now what? You know,
I'm
now
sorry, I
what?
get distracted for just a second there. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Now what?
And so now I'm a national marketing director. This is the top spot. And now what? Now what? There wasn't another position or anything. And my mentor shared with me, and he says, Robert, the goal, and this is like the old Zig Ziglar deal, is he said, Robert, the people that make the biggest impact and biggest difference is how many people can you get there? Now that you're an international marketing director or national marketing director, now start helping other people do that. And so that became something that I loved more than me making money. Well, it didn't take long for me to find out if I had a number of people that were super affiliates, that my income was going up. So then I got this thing in my head where, if there's 10 people on stage that are getting an award, I just wanted 9 of them to be in my group. And so that was the next thing I fulfilled. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, so now what? And I really didn't think outside the box like that until I met Angel and Matthew. So,
Really?
it was, so here I
That's
am
interesting.
cranking, I'm doing well. And then Richard Ferris, I know, introduced me to this couple. And they were saying, like, listen, we want to build schools and stuff for, people that don't have parents, orphans and children, and we would like your help. Well, I didn't know that they knew my story. So sitting across at dinner with these people and them saying that they wanted to take care of kids that got taken away from their parents or lost their parents, I mean, I fell in love with them. And can you believe that was 10 years ago? That
Was
so
it?
Yeah, I'm going to try to do a podcast with them tomorrow. So, but
Oh,
then all of a sudden
interesting.
they were trying to tell me, how little it took to build a school in India and in
Right.
Jamaica. And I was going like, what? It was just like, oh, well, we could actually have 200 kids and build a school, and we could do that for like $5,000, $8,000. And I was going like, done.
No kidding. No kidding. I guess I didn't realize that either.
Yeah,
That's
in other countries,
mind-boggling.
yeah, in other countries, the cost of construction and everything like that, because people get paid so little, a lot of people don't realize that most countries in the world, a person makes less than $5 a day,
Right.
working
Right.
all day. It's like, so when you sit there and you think about that, so when I started giving them money and I could see what they were doing with the money and how many children they were helping, and the more I gave them, the more children they were helping. I was going like, there's no better feeling in the world that
Yeah,
gives me more
for sure.
joy than sending them money. So now I got addicted to that. And other children that I dealt with is St. Jude Children's Hospital. When I found a charity that gave almost all the money to the children. And then the other one was the Starkey Hearing Foundation. So when I heard this billionaire, was basically flying all over the world fitting children with hearing aids that have never heard the words "I love you." They've never heard laughter. It was like, his name is Bill Austin. And so he really challenged me. He's going, Robert, he says, you've given away millions, but come on. You know what
Well,
I mean? But
have you seen those commercials where they just put something on those little kids' ears and the look on their face, it's like,
uh,
oh my goodness. So I can
I don't
see
know
that.
people that watch that. That would really should be a sorting tool. It should be watch this happen and did you feel anything? Yes, I did. Okay, you can work with me. It was like, because if you can watch that video and not feel anything.
Exactly. Exactly. That brings up a good point. That's something I wanted to touch on with you a little bit. It was that feeling. Okay. So I was never one with personal development, and I'm sure this can help a lot of people because I'm sure I'm like a lot of people out there. And you grow up and you don't even, you don't, it's not a normal thing.
No.
So, you know, you're talking about all these things, it just, nothing clicks.
Right.
So when I first joined network marketing, that is when I was first introduced to it. It still meant nothing. I felt nothing
Right.
until I started following you.
Ah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think a lot of people understand. I mean, I watched a recent interview with Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson. And one of the things that Mike Tyson said is Joe Rogan said, you know, what do you think most people that are in the sports game today don't understand? And he said that it's 90% mental. It's 90% psychology. He goes, the only reason I was good as I was is that my mentor, my coach, made me understand that I had to see the completion of the fight in my brain enough to be emotionally being attached with my heart. And he says, there's nobody, including Muhammad Ali, that says I love to work out. That
Mm.
nobody loves to work out. No one wants to do the work. And he says, but if you fall in love with the vision of what you're going to accomplish, he told me I was going to be the youngest heavyweight in the world, and what that would do for me. And he said, so I all of a sudden took all the things that I hated to do every day, and I fell in love with the things that most people don't, because it was a mind game for me. Once I got the mind right, then I got the passion and in the heart, and that's what made me work out crazy like I did.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
people think it's the other way around. So what happens if you don't have personal development or understand that you have to create a vision that you fall in love with? Now it is work for you. See, and
right.
no one likes the work, and this is hard, and I don't like doing this. And if you don't like doing this and it doesn't make you feel good, then you don't do it.
Right,
And so
right.
every day people go, I know I need to connect with people that want a better lifestyle, but I just not going to do it. So to me, that means that you just haven't created a vision that you have fallen in love with yet.
That's right. That's what I was gonna say, because I've never had a per se vision. That's why everybody calls you the visionary.
Yeah,
You,
thank you.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's what you instill in people. I just to get them to dream and to believe that they are a miracle. So
Yeah.
I think that is so cool with you.
Oh,
And
thank you.
it
Well,
is. I mean,
people that you personally know, like Melody and Wanda Kay, I thought of her today, so I reached out to her immediately because
oh,
I mentioned
nice.
her and the Z Man, on my YouTube live today, and it's like, there's people like that where Wanda all of a sudden just started doing the stuff that she needed to do. And then all of a sudden, all these churches started reaching out to her saying, listen, can you do this for us? And it was like that's what she loves to do, and now she's making money doing that. And it's like it's again, when you fall in love with what you do, you'll never work another day of your life.
And you know, I think that's where people kind of get listen to me, the professional, right? No, I have learned so much. I have learned so much from you, though.
But you are, Lisa. The stuff that you know in your mind and your heart puts you in the top 3% of all people that have ever existed on this planet, because other people other people just not aware of it, and other people don't think about it, and so they don't do anything.
And
So
that's exactly it. We're not aware. We're
yeah,
not aware. Once you become aware, it's like you go through a period where you are totally just beating yourself up. You
yeah,
you know what I mean? But
I
I
do.
think when you get past that, it's like I am feeling that swelled heart all the time. That
Yeah,
just that good feeling. And that's kind of what this is about. I want to leave people that watch this that kind of feeling. And
Yeah, and it's like every one of us, the way that I always say it is people don't want to admit to this because we get sort of programmed that we're not supposed to have feelings. You know, you're
right,
not it's like if you have feelings that makes you out of control, that makes you weak. I grew up like you, Lisa Marie, around a group of people that if you're crying, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. You know what I
exactly.
mean? So we people that cried or had emotions, they were made fun of. And even if you're running on a softball field and you lose your balance and you wipe out and got road rash, or I guess it would be called field rash all over.
That's them.
I mean, you're just supposed to suck it up. You're supposed to be
Right.
strong. And so when all of a sudden you're around situations where you see a commercial, or maybe you're at church and you hear someone sing, that was always been the one for me, is when I would hear an individual sing, and then you would hear another individual sing, and it like immediately starts choking you up. You know what I mean? And it's because they're singing from a place that is heartfelt. And when they do that, it touches your heart. And then you're going like, hang on, I'm not interested in feeling this feeling right now. And even guys, strong ass guys, you know what I mean, will watch, like recently, I just watched a boxing match. It was an MMA fight, and this kid has been doing this since he was 16 years old, and so now he's like 26, 27, and he won the fight and he became the champion. And so as soon as he knocked the guy out, he fell to his knees, and you could see his whole body convulsing because he was crying so hard. So now he's in the middle of a ring. There's 70,000 people in the audience. There's
Oh
millions
my
of people
God.
watching all over the world. And he finally pulled off the vision that he had. So that's when the emotions took him over. And now he's got to do an interview.
Oh, wow.
And so they do this all the time, Lisa Marie. We watch people where they walk up and go, wow, you're the new world champion. How do you feel? And it's like, what are you trying? It's like you're crying your emotions. And so even, I'm saying this funny, but even a grown ass man, if he sees something like that, he'll look around to make sure that no one's seeing him while
Right.
while he's getting caught up in the emotions. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that one kid that just won, that Spaniard that just won the Wimbledon, he beat the guy that he says, these guys, I have their posters on my wall. And he goes in there and beats a guy that has won it 10 times. And he beats the guy
Wild.
that was his, and so he was a little emotional.
Yeah. Yeah. Who wouldn't be? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I'd be a blubbering mess for sure.
Oh, totally. Totally.
So
Totally.
do you think that you actually have to, in order for somebody to be aware and to understand what is needed, and I absolutely believe that personal development is at the top of the list.
No doubt. No doubt.
Okay.
And even in scripture, it talks about, it says that, you're turning a new leaf, you're renewing your mind, you become a new person. Well, for those of you that believe in that, and if did do the Lord's Prayer or become baptized, and you say, now I'm a new person. And I think the most of the people that know you and go, no, you're a Christian now, but you're the same damn person.
Right, right. It absolutely. And I deal with a lot of that right now.
Yeah.
My inner circle, or the people closest to me, because I was not always a nice person. I
Right.
was not
Right.
always. Do you know
And
what I
when
mean?
people say, yeah, when people say, Lisa, you've changed. The response behind that is, thank you. I've been working very hard at
I like that. Yeah. High five, you bet. I love that. That's awesome. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that, because people try to change. They
Yeah.
do, and that peer pressure, just like
Oh,
You are, when you're in school, you get that same thing as an adult.
yes,
Is
you
pretty,
do.
is
Yeah,
pretty
you're
sad.
still trying to fit into the cliques, and you're still
Right.
trying to. So
Yeah.
as soon as we venture off to try to renew our mind, like I even say, if you think about it, it's also in every movie that deals with what we call the hero's journey. It's Jonathan Livingston Seco or the Field of Dreams. All these movies, Star Wars, have all these things in common. One is the person says, is this all there is? Really? I mean, God, there's just got to be more meaning to life than this. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just going to work, getting paid peanuts, just getting by. I don't even have enough money in the bank to take a nice vacation anywhere. Well, then, if you ever told your inner circle that you grew up around that you were thinking about you and Freddie going to Italy, or going to Greece, or going to Spain, or going to Hong Kong, they would go, "What the hell is wrong with you? You don't travel outside of this city." You'd have
Or
some
the country.
you would have friends that would say, "Hey, we're thinking about going to LA, or we're going to go to Florida." And they're going, "Why would you go to that rat race?" See what I mean? Their minds have already taken all their options away from them.
Yeah. Or made them second guess their decision, you know?
So what
Mhm.
what more do I have to become than just to get up every day, go to my job, pay my bills on time, and do my best not to get arrested? It just, it's like, then I get to raise kids. Raising kids is easy. It's like you just got to put up with them until they turn 18 so they can get the hell out of the house. You know what I mean? It's like this whole different thing. And then when the kids leave, I hope I still have something in my relationship with my spouse where they stick around.
Right. Right. Is it, yeah. We can't wait for him to walk and talk, and then we can't wait. You got to tell him to be quiet and sit down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were just
And
so
so
programmed.
so once a
Mhm.
person says there's got to be more than this, then that's when they put themselves in a situation where they become seekers. See, they don't really realize that they brought the change to them. But all
Mhm.
of a sudden they start looking around, and it's like, well, maybe I can make money online, or maybe I could do this. And then all of a sudden you catch people that are. And now all of a sudden you get to see that there's a whole different world, that,
Right.
people make more in a second than most people make in their lives.
Right.
And then right away we start beating ourselves up again. I'm not smart enough. I didn't go to college. I can't spell very well. So then we start beating ourselves up that we always believe that someone that makes more money than us has more talent, more skills, that they're smarter than us. And that's untrue.
And not to, but look at you. Look at you're dyslexic. You were labeled as a child. You had that label put to you, and that carried you through, you know? And
Yeah,
it's like, and look at you now. I mean, so that means nothing.
I'm far
Absolutely.
from done too.
Right.
Like, yeah, so
Yeah.
all of a sudden you tap into this stuff, which is really just thinking to yourself different than somebody else. And then all of a sudden you start finding, wow, I'm grateful for everything, and I appreciate everything. And all of a sudden these things start happening where you start creating that elusive thing of, I'm happy. And when you get addicted to that, it's like, why can't I be happier? Why can't I be happy all the time? And then immediately think what happens. Now all of a sudden the people that you're around, start going, listen, no one's happy all the time. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, but money doesn't buy happiness. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, it certainly gives you options, doesn't it?
It gives you options and gives you choices. So,
Yeah.
when I consistently give money to orphans, no one can take that feeling away from me.
That's
And
right. That's right.
when I keep getting testimonials too, there's people all over the world that I help, and when they send me messages, like I just had a guy that I met online, and he's going, you know, he just sent me a message. He said, at the beginning of this month, I was really scared about doing what you told me to do, but I can't believe I made $500 in the last 2 weeks. You know, and
Nice.
it's like, you
Nice.
know, everyone says money doesn't buy happiness, but there's not a person that watches this video live or recorded that if I told you, listen, create a PayPal or a Venmo account, and I'll send you $500. And if you send it to me and I sent you $500, none of you can tell me that that wouldn't put a smile on your face,
That's right. Could you,
because you would
right?
immediately know what you would do with it. If it had to pay a bill, or, you know, you bought something for someone else, or you took your family out to eat. It's like, come on, you know, we minimize what it's like to be able to have money to do things for others.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
only think about greedy people because
Right.
that's what the programming does. The
It
Scrooge.
does.
Think about it. From the
Absolutely.
day that we were little kids, it was the average people and then the Scrooge.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
The Jetsons, you know,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
had the happy family, and then you got the boss. The guy that
Mhm.
runs the company is an asshole. And he's greedy, and he's smoking cigars with his feet up on his desk, and he's mean to people. That's what money is programmed to us, you know, Wall Street.
It
You know,
is.
greed is good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
And-
think back listening to my folks, when I was little, listening to everything that they told me.
right.
And I heard it all, money don't grow on trees and this and that. And wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And guess who they always, for the little town people, the rural people like us, Lisa Marie, guess who the bad person was in town? It was the banker.
Right.
See, the
Right.
banker is the bad and evil guy that's got all the money in the vault, and he won't give it to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything that you talk about, whether it's in our inner circle, which I want you to talk about because that is amazing. And I want you
Sure.
to talk about the Hollis organization or I want you to talk about that. But oh shoot, I just got off topic and I lost that. So I do want you to talk about those, but in
Sure.
that other question, it'll pop into my head. So
So,
first of all, tell us about the inner circle because that is really kind of helping the Hollis organization, right?
well, I'm first of all, I'm so proud of you, Lisa Marie, being a part of it. You know, the inner circle was really came about years and years ago because I was in the inner circle with my mentor. So it all of a sudden became this point where, wow, if I went from doing this with my life and impacting this much people, then what do I do to get to the next level? And so, you know, it doesn't make a difference how much impact and how much money you make. There's still another level to acquire. And it's not because, you know, that's why people don't understand that statement. It's like, why did you climb Mount Everest? Because it was there. See, you know, I still see people that do stuff that I would never do. You know, it's like, hey, every year, you know, you got a couple of people that swim from California to Catalina Island. You know, I don't see the need to swim 23 miles. You know what I mean? It's like there's just some people that do some crazy stuff. And you go, why do you do it? But their ideas because I can. You know,
Mhm.
I want to do that. So when I got into the inner circle, I started learning other things that I could do to get breakthroughs from breaking paradigms and programming that I had before. That there was these little things that kept coming up that were self-sabotaging to myself. And so when I watched my mentor take, you know, 7 people was the Knights of his round table, and he turned us all into multimillionaires, you know, and so, you know, it's crazy that, you know, the people that are looking for a higher level, there's people out there that have that. And so when I seen that, and of course, when I left him, it just became a common thing that there was a group of people that really wanted to know the inside stuff,
Right.
which a lot of people don't like to hear, because if you get in the inner circle, the things that you're dealing with is not really the outside stuff, it's the inside stuff. You know
Right.
what I mean? And so some of those inside things are not difficult to handle. So, you know, when we started the inner circle here, and I've done it with other companies too, the inner
Mhm.
circle here was just for me to spend personal time with people. A lot of people would rather be voyeurs, which is okay. They'll watch videos of me doing breakthroughs, and they won't be live, so they'll just watch them recorded. And that's fine. That's where I used to be. I used to be the guy that always sat in the corner, never wanted to raise my hand, just wanted to learn and listen. And then there's a group of people in there that want to be there live, and they'll even turn their camera on, but they're still not ready to go through a breakthrough. So then the last group is the brave people like you, Lisa Marie, that just throws themselves in the fire and goes, hey, listen, I'm tired of dealing with this garbage, and tell me what's wrong here. Tell me why I'm doing this. And I'm sick and tired to continue doing this loop over and over and over again. And all it is if people understand that in our mind,
Yeah.
it is programmed. That's why they call it programming. And so you're always going to act the same way because you always do the same thing over and over again. So
Right.
if you don't create what we call in our mind is where you're breaking the pattern is what you're doing. And then all of a sudden, when that thing comes up, you go, wait a minute. Now, the first time you're aware of it, you still do the habit anyway. So that's where the self beating yourself up is. See, because now before you wasn't aware you were doing anything wrong. Now all of a sudden you
Right.
become aware that you're doing things wrong. And then you do it anyway, even though you're aware of it. And now you're really pissed off at yourself.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And then the next time is when you do it enough and you're aware enough that when it comes up, you break the pattern and you do something different. And now you're feel like you're patting yourself on the back every day because you remember all this awful programming that you had where you did the same thing over and over, and including a response. I always tell people, if you're a kind of person that when someone gives you a compliment and you can't smile and just say, thank you, I really appreciate you saying that, you got some shitty programming, man.
Yeah.
You really do. When someone says, oh my God, Lisa Marie, you look beautiful today. What do you want?
Yeah.
Your
Right.
first response is, what do you want? What do you mean? I don't want
That's
anything.
exactly how I
Now,
was.
now, no
Yeah.
one does a compliment like that without, do you need me to make you some cookies? Do you need a ride to the airport? See, our mind doesn't even know how to receive a sincere compliment because we don't believe it in ourselves.
Right. That's
So
right.
even if someone says, wow, Lisa Marie, you're such a wonderful person. Not really. If
Oh,
you
funny.
see me when I'm not around you, I
Right.
know we all do that. We all
Yeah,
do that.
for sure. But yeah, once you are aware, then you can't change nothing if you're not aware of it.
Right.
And
So
that,
the biggest thing I love about Inner Circle is not only working with people like you, Lisa Marie, but also having people watch other people go through breakthroughs, because
yeah, that's
so many
huge.
people that when you make that leap of faith like that, I know, Lisa Marie, the biggest rewards that you've gotten from being in the Inner Circle is when you did jump into the fire and you allowed me to be who I am with you. Then the number of people that reached out to you afterwards going, thank you, thank you,
Right.
thank you, thank you, thank you, because they're scared to jump in there. Some people don't want to
Yeah.
know what's stuck in there.
You want to know what got me over? I mean, to actually get on their live, because I watched you for a long time before I did that too. It was Melody Riva. She had
Ah,
said something to me once. It was a long time ago, but it was when you started the AMAs again.
yep.
And I don't know if she told me or Nicholas or the group of us, whatever. She says, you know what? Anytime you have a chance to be in front of Robert and he's seeing your name and he's hearing your voice, you want to be there. I
Yeah.
don't care how uncomfortable it is. You want to be seen. So, and that's always stuck in my mind this whole time. And that is what pushed me, I think,
That
to
is Melody is
he's
man,
wonderful. Yeah,
the numbers, the amount of stuff that that woman's walked through, and it's
yeah,
still walking through,
right.
is just,
Yeah, I
man.
know. And
It's
see,
so
and she was a big reason why I always asked you, you know, that chapter in The Science of Getting Rich, you know, with the illnesses, and it, it just bothered me so much,
right.
you know, that somebody like that ends up dealing with stuff like that.
Yeah, that I would say the best example of that is there's not a place that you can read in any religious stuff where there's not a number of scriptures that just says you'll never know, you'll never understand the breadth, the width, and the depth
Hmm.
so that's why people say it's a mystery. And Jim Rohn said, if I were you, I wouldn't take that class. And so, dealing with infants, right, and dealing with children like I do, when you see a child that's born that has, something wrong with it, and then you find out young children that don't even understand a language yet that catch cancer. There's all this stuff where you're just going like,
Right.
I don't understand. And I don't think that we will. I don't think that we will in this life. So when people try to understand why other people have that happen to them, you know what I mean? Because it just doesn't make any sense. I just say it's
Right.
just meant not to make any sense. It's like
Right.
human beings get frustrated and overwhelmed and angry because they want things to be fair. And they're just not. So I'm sure a lot of people seen me when I was young and just went, that's wrong. So, they're looking at this family and they're all native Indians, and you got this one white kid standing with all the native Indians, right?
Right.
At a rodeo that's all native Indians.
Mm.
So whenever someone sees an entire white family and then they see an African American or an Asian or a Latino, standing with a total white family, they go, wait a minute,
Mhm. Right.
that
Right.
person
Right.
looked a little out of place. That was me. You know what I mean? So it was like people just look at it and go, right away they feel sorry for me when they don't realize that I'm with a loving family and it didn't used to be.
Right.
That I'm not being abused, but I used to be.
Right.
See, they don't look at that kid going, wow, that family took that kid in. It's not their nationality, it's not their culture or anything, but someone decided to love that child.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, now we go, hey, so you got all these people going, how's that white kid going to learn about his nationality from a native Indian family? And it was like, I'm okay. I turned out all right.
Well, this is going so fast. It's like I don't want you. I want you to stay right here, but but and I know you got other things, but there's two more questions that
No,
really.
I gave myself plenty of time to be on here. You're
Okay.
worth it, Lisa
All
Marie.
right. So I know. I think I know. I do know the answer to this, but maybe our viewers don't.
Okay.
Um, we give that gift, the book, The Science of Getting Rich, to everybody that we meet, to anybody that will take it, right?
Right.
Um, how much do you believe that that book, learning the principles of that book, is key to, first of all, changing your whole life, but
Right.
being able to let the other shit go and
Yeah.
be successful?
100%. This book turned me into loving myself.
Eh,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
yeah,
so if you really think of all the principles that in philosophy that the science of getting rich teaches you, it teaches you all outside stuff. All right. So you got to have gratitude. You got to believe if other people did it, you can do it. You got to believe that, success is not monopolized. A lot of us grow up with programming that, the wealth and power is only for those that were chosen. And you got to understand that programming came all the way back from having a king and queen that
Right.
people still make a big deal out of. That's
Mhm.
crazy to me. Hey, did you see we have a new king? And it's like, what? I live in America, Oh, so this whole concept of the blue bloods, the wealthy, the people, so I'm just a peasant. We're just a peasant. We don't get to enjoy that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
See what I mean? So the science of getting rich opens up the thoughts and the possibilities that all that stuff is bullshit. All
Right.
right. Now that's all outside stuff. But if you don't believe in yourself and you don't love yourself, this is the other part of the puzzle. Now,
Mhm.
I tell people there's two funny things. You can love and believe in yourself. And we've met people like this. These are people that I feel like, we meet nurses, we meet people that love nature. We've always considered them in our age, like hippies, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And see, they totally love who they are. And they're so in love with who they are and they're in love with nature that they love and care for everyone.
Right.
See, they're missing the science of getting rich. They
That's
got they got this down.
right. Right.
So let's go the other way. So now we hear all this programming about people that are mean and evil and they have money and their power and they treat people bad. They figured out the science of getting rich, but they don't have this.
Right.
So that's when we hear, well, money changes who you are. It does. It makes you more of who you are. It's just a magnifier. So if you're a kind of person that whenever you have a little bit of money, you're taking everybody out to eat, you're buying them presents, you're doing nice things with your money, you're giving more money at church if you go to church. If you're that kind of person, you're just going to be more of that person with more money.
Right. I agree. Yeah, for sure.
And I don't
For
think I've ever
sure.
said that on any interview. You know what I mean? So you got the inside work and then you got the outside work.
Not that I have not heard you say that before.
Yeah,
And I follow you pretty close.
yeah, you pulled that out of me. You pulled that out of me. So, it's like the Hollis organization is the science of getting rich for me and my family. The Hollis Foundation is the heart.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that
that makes so much sense.
yeah. So
That
if you
does.
So you always see people that have a lot of money and maybe they've won a Grammy or an Oscar. They got money out of the way, and then all of a sudden, these are the people that you hear that are big public people that all of
Mhm.
a sudden we hear, oh my God, now the guy does nothing but just travel to countries and make sure that every child has clean water. See,
How
because
cool is that?
they focus on the science of getting rich. And now they have the accolades, they have the money, they're the movie star, they're the A-lister, they're in that realm, but there's still something missing. So that's usually when you hear about, wow, didn't wasn't Matt Damon or DiCaprio, what aren't they just like A-list movie stars? And then you hear, Brad Pitt, he's building houses down in, New Orleans. You start to see where people start going, no, listen, I these accolades are not doing it for me. I got to find a way to give this back to others.
Right. Right. Service to many, right? The way to greatness is a service to many, as you
Yes.
always say. I
Yep,
love that.
absolutely.
Yeah, that just really gave me a aha moment right there.
Good.
So thank you
Good.
for that.
So yeah, because the things that you want to do to help other people, see, it's like, and again, I believe that a lot of people just have them reversed. See what I mean?
Right?
They focus, they don't think the time to think about how they can help others. And
Right.
so then they don't. So it's like I'll walk up to people and go, hey, listen, I can show you how to be financially set and free. And they're like, no, thank you. See, because they really don't have any other place for the money to go.
Right. And
So
that's
believe it or not,
important.
people won't like what I say right here, but most people are making what they're making because that's their decision. See,
Mhm.
they don't want to,
Absolutely.
they're mad because the company they're working for is not paying them right or not treating them right. They don't believe enough in themselves to believe that they're a miracle and they could get a better job or be an entrepreneur. But so in their mind, they go, to be honest with you, I'm grateful for what I have, and we're paying our bills. I got a roof over my house. I'm not too much in debt. See what I mean? So everything's okay for them.
You know
It's
what? That used to be okay for me too,
yeah,
but it's
most
not anymore.
right.
I definitely want more,
Yeah.
you
So
know.
then all of a sudden when you say, well, I'd like to create a place where children and people can just come. Like I just seen a commercial just the other day about an Airbnb, and what a great idea. But it just showed these kids and the mom and dad playing with this little mini horse and this little mini donkey.
Mhm.
And they were showing it going, taking it all over, and it was playing that song, I'm gonna ride my horse all day, and you just seen them having fun on this like little ranch, you know what I mean? Log house, and everything. And then I found out it was an Airbnb. And I was going like, that is freaking brilliant. Because you
No
got all these
kidding.
you
No
got all these
kidding.
people that would be, it'd be fun to be around animals and help animals and learn how to do this. So as soon as I shared that with my wife, she was going, man, they just did that on one of the housewives, So, the people, housewives of Beverly Hills or whatever, New York, I
I
guess,
absolutely love that.
yeah, they all went to some place in Montana and
Mhm.
and did what do what renters and farmers do. It's like everybody's
Mhm.
like, dang, I wouldn't want to do this all day. But people that love doing it love doing it. It's part
Right.
of their chores.
Actually, you know what? We have the capabilities to do that, would fit right in with Buddy's place in the orphan,
Yes,
wouldn't that? Oh my
it
goodness.
totally
It was
would.
like, phew,
So we got
wow.
the therapeutic side of it, right?
Right.
But there's a lot of people that would like to, um, and that's one of the things that I've always loved about the Asian culture. The Asian culture just really, really thinks like there's more people from Asia that visit the Yellowstone National Park every year than people that live in the United States.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, who wouldn't want to go there and see this incredible park and Old Faithful and the waterfalls and the land,
Right.
the animals. They don't have them there.
Right. Right. What part of Hawaii would attract Asians? Because
Oh, all of it, the whole thing.
yeah, it's gorgeous,
Yeah,
gorgeous there.
it,
Huh.
it-
But
you know,
that's what we experienced going there was,
yeah,
yeah, it was all Asians. I don't know, but
yeah,
very interesting. I
yeah.
am
Well,
so
they
glad that you
teach you.
talked about that.
Well, talk about programming, right? If from the
Right?
time that you can remember being a small child, that your parents worked and then they got a holiday. They worked and got a holiday. See, Europeans are the same way.
Yeah.
It's like to think that Europeans and Asians, they're told they're taking 2 months off, not a week,
Mhm.
not 2 weeks. You don't get to go to work on holiday. Oh, well, what am I going to do? Go some damn place.
Mhm. Right.
So imagine from the time that you're a little kid that you know that you're working, 10 months and that you're taking 2 months off. And so your whole life, your grandparents, your parents, it's like, where are we going? Are we going to Italy? Are we going to Greece? Are we going to Spain? Are we going to Peru? Are we going to Hawaii? Are we going to New York? See, that's in their itinerary. And think
Right.
about it. It's every year.
Right.
Every
Yeah.
year, these families are getting together and they're going someplace.
Mhm. I suppose it's no different than when I used to teach school, have the
Yeah.
summer off, you know?
It's like
That's
me,
crazy.
it's like we got to go to another city and work in the rodeo.
Mhm. Right. Woo. Or you were
Yeah.
part of the carnival, right?
Yeah. It's like,
Anyway,
no.
I don't know where that came from, but anyway, there's one more question I want
Sure,
to ask
sure.
you. And you have achieved so much You have I could have spent an hour on your accolades,
Thank you.
but but that's not what you're about. I mean,
No.
you have touched every area of my life, and I think people need that all over balance, and that's what you gave to me. You know what I
Awesome.
mean? You
Well,
have,
to see
and
you and Freddie, yeah, it just makes me smile.
yeah, I
it
know.
melt.
You make us smile too. You do. I love you. And I can't wait to have you over first too. So you
Yes,
guys
absolutely.
come here next time. We won't meet in Nashville. You come here.
Good.
Anyway, okay. One last question, because I feel like you have reached the ultimate for in many, many people's eyes. I mean, you've got it all. You love and adore your family. I
Uh,
see that. They see that. I mean, and I just love your heart. You are so
Thank you.
giving and so kind and compassionate. And anybody would be blessed to work with you. And you do that for a huge community, whether they are in your company or not. You are teaching everybody at the kindness of your heart. I mean, and you take everybody in. You
Oh,
do.
well,
That
I
is just,
think
I
it's
find that
because,
amazing.
yeah, well, what I'm really doing, Lisa Marie, is creating what I didn't have when I was young.
Sure. Right.
So I
That's
always wanted, I always wanted a family, a group of people that unconditionally just loved me and encouraged me for the person that I was. End
right.
of story. It's not, that you're not doing this or you're not doing this and why you're not doing this and why you're not doing this. It's this constant thing that people don't even know how to show sincere appreciation and love for one another.
Right.
They
Oh,
don't, yeah.
that reminded me of that question. What is your go-to chapter in the science of getting rich? Because we
Oh,
talked about 4, 14, and 7. Is it 7?
it's definitely 7. It's
Yeah.
definitely 7. Yeah. Yeah. It's gratitude all day long. I still to this day, as hard as I work on myself, I still find myself slipping. You know what I mean? It's just like and it's so funny because that's why I did that video yesterday about destroying your life, destroying your dreams. Because a lot of times what we don't realize happen is when we try to share our dreams and our vision with other people, they're not so understanding. And so like I just see people, they get all excited about how they can change somebody's life. And then they introduce people to that are not ready.
Right.
And then they crap all over it.
Mhm.
So you bring in a whole group of people like that's happening in Nigeria right now. And because they're bringing so many people to it, they're finding a large group of people that find something wrong with everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this sometimes, like cancer, has a tendency of spilling into the people that are believers because they didn't realize they're that's what they talk about is, Lisa Marie, why don't you take off the rose-colored glasses?
Mhm.
You're looking at this person and that's why people get weird. It's like I've had people go, my God, when I started telling everybody the stuff that you helped me with, they immediately started trashing you. Listen, you can't stop talking about Robert. You can't stop talking about, this miracle world, and you can't stop talking about the science of getting rich. And so what they do is they start trashing. Like I had one person, I'll tell you this story. I had one person that reached out to me and they said, well, I talked to a friend of mine and he did some research on Wallace Wattles. And do you know that Wallace Wattles died with no money and he was an alcoholic? And I'm going, so now get to your point.
Mhm.
And they go, well, why would you promote somebody's book like that? That's the way they died. I'm like, really?
I,
It's like, man, I mean, if
that's
you wanted
sad.
to get and what I said to him, and it shocked him. And I said, so when people say that Jesus was just a carpenter's son, I guess we should no longer read the Bible then. I mean, when you really look at it from a point of view, Jesus was a rebel. He never listened to authority. He broke all of their laws. And he was telling everybody that they didn't need the government. Yeah, they were pissed at him.
Mhm.
And they
Yeah.
killed him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so why are you following anything that Christians believe in if the guy that was really leading the story was really, honestly, sort of a rebel and a guy that didn't listen to law, and he was constantly getting his butt chewed because don't you know we don't do that on Sunday? Don't you know we don't do that? Don't you know we don't do that? I mean, he virtually found every law that was happening at that time, and he purposely broke them all. How would that person fit in a church today?
Right. Right.
Think
Oh,
about that.
yeah.
If across the street from the church parking lot, he's having a concert,
Right.
he's telling
Yeah.
everybody, don't go in there.
Oh my. Yeah. I hear you.
No what? No
You know
wonder.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, that's just being, gosh, there is so many things that we just are not aware
Wow.
of, So one more, what is next for
Please.
Robert Hollis? What's next for you? What is your vision from here on to say the next 3 to 5 years for you? Tell me your vision.
The more I'm just open to what comes to me, I see my life on a year-to-year basis, and still a majority of the stuff that I'm doing is stuff that I didn't envision. So when I put the grandiose out there that I would like to help 1 million more people, and I'd like to help 250,000 orphans, I keep the big dreams out there. I know how they make me feel while I'm accomplishing them. And then I just really allow whatever God, the universe, whatever you want to believe, to throw things in my path,
Hmm.
because I used to plan too restrictive. Nowadays, I tell people is that if you said, well, I need to do this at this time and this time, at this time, at this time, at this time, and you seen me do that with Corky,
Hmm.
Corky
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like Corky was trying to do too many things instead of focusing on what God had already called him to do. So if he puts more energy into what gives him the most joy and the most impact, then it exploded for him.
Oh my gosh, he is amazing.
Right.
Uh,
So
1.2 million followers on TikTok.
yeah.
It's crazy. And he's
And
part of
so
our inner circle. We get him.
yeah, so
We
that's
have
my
got some
vision.
amazing people.
I don't know how many summers I have left on this planet. And Matthew, my son Matthew, it's
Mhm.
like he is so optimistic of the future of what's going to happen with AI that he goes, Dad, I think that you're living in a time where, as long as you want to keep giving and helping people, you can be here forever.
Right.
Because he's like, now they're doing all this thing where they're digitizing people and doing all this stuff. And I'm going like, how long do you keep your consciousness alive? So I
Right.
just think that I don't know how many summers I have left. I just know that I love life and I love people and I love seeing people become the person they love, always wanted to become. Because
Right.
that does nothing but just opens up doors to, okay, well, what else could I do? Or what else could I do? And that's why people don't understand people that love life, because they always say, Robert, if I made your kind of money, I would retire and then I would just live life on my terms. That is frickin' boring.
Right. And I think if a
You can do
person
it for
was
a while,
true,
and I know
right,
people.
exactly.
It's like your money's taken care of, everything's taken care of, and then you buy nice things, and then you travel all over the world. And maybe for some people they would never travel, but all of a
Mhm.
sudden it does become a point where I'll share this last commercial with you. This thought. I watched a commercial, and there's a Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch that a lot of I've seen it, never felt the need to go and connect with it, but they're
Mhm.
constantly doing commercials about there's some law in the state of Montana where like 44% of everything that you have can be given not only to the state, but giving to a nonprofit in that state, and they can pay you a return on your investment.
Oh, you're kidding.
So to think that these rich ranchers that have lived around here forever, and then Billings is getting big, and so all of a sudden this guy's got 100 acres, and now they're selling it for $100,000 an acre.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
right?
I know a lot of families like that. So
I
now they
bet.
got 20, $30 million. And they can take that 20, $30 million, give it to the Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch, and get a
Mhm.
10% return on their money every month.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
And it's like tax free. So you just take all your money and give it to the state, I mean, this organization,
Mhm.
and then they turn around and pay you what, maybe $50,000 a month for the rest of your life.
Oh my goodness. That would be so sad.
And so now you don't have to worry about what you're going to do. And then you did something good, but you still haven't destroyed, you just having a piece of money sitting in the bank doing nothing is sort of silly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and that okay, I'm not gonna keep you anymore. I know it's
Okay.
4 o'clock. Robert, thank you so much for being here. You just swell my heart. You are number one in my book. You always will be, and I love you to pieces. And
I love you too. And what a great interview. Lisa Marie,
I think this was the bomb.
you
I felt very comfortable with you. Thank you
you
so
did
much for that.
amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert.
So now
And
you get to reach out to the rest of the world and go, when can I
yeah.
do an interview with you? And they go, well, you will, I'll send you a video that I did with Robert Hollis. And they'll go, yeah, you can interview me. Okay.
I've already been turned down a couple of times, but that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay. I'll get the ones. I'll
yeah,
get the ones that were meant to be here with me, right?
absolutely.
Yes. All
Love
right.
you.
Love you to
Give
pieces.
Freddie a
Thank
hug
you,
and kiss from me.
everybody else, for watching. Appreciate you guys so much. I apologize for no comments, but I wanted to concentrate on Robert. So, all right. Thank you, Robert. Love you.
Love you.
All right. We're out of here. Bye-bye.